Guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video we're going through all of my tips for round 16 as well as 17 I should say, as well as going through and tipping all of the round 18 games. So before we get into this video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload, and let's get into this video. So Collingwood versus Essendon. I keep on thinking about tonight's game. Collingwood, I thought they would win by 21. They lost by 12, so I was 33 points off there. Essendon are just basically proving me wrong at every turn, and they're a top 8 side definitely this year. I think that they'll get in there now. I think that they have a chance to get top 4, but I think the mathematics said they needed 5 more wins to get top 4. 5 more wins for top 4 for them out of 7 games is tough. It all comes down to their last couple of games, I think, against Brisbane and Sydney. Whether they win those games, they will get to that top 4. But if they lose those games, then there are a chance of slipping out if they slip up again this week, but I don't think they will. But anyway, yeah, Essendon are just proving everyone wrong, and they're going to get there, I think. They'll finish 5th, I think they'll finish 5th in the regular season, and then have a game against a GWS, maybe even scrape in and have to play Collingwood, which will be an interesting one if that is the case. North against Gold Coast. I tipped Gold Coast to win, and they just cannot do it. Man, how many times, Gold Coast, do you want to? So you're going to win this week against Port Adelaide because you're at Gold Coast. You're at People First. But you're going to lose next week wherever you play. Port smacked Western Bulldogs. Saw that coming. By the way, I did tip I tipped Gold Coast by 11. They lost by 4, so I was 15 off. I tipped Port by 7. They won by 48, so I was 41 off there. I tipped Hawthorn. I said Hawthorn were going to beat Geelong, and they got smoked. I said Hawthorn by 16. They lost by 51, so I was, 67 points off there. GWS against Carlton. I said Carlton would win by 20, but GWS proving that they are still a massive threat, winning by 12 points, so I was 32 points wrong there. Fremantle against Richmond. I said Freo by 45. They ended up winning by 51, so I was 6 points off there. A pretty decent tip for all the hell that was this week. Melbourne against West Coast Eagles. I said Melbourne by 31. They ended up winning by 54, so I was 23 points off there. St Kilda against the Swans. St Kilda came out. They won. They won a last quarter against the Swans, which was surprising. Swans just shut down in the last quarter, kicked 0 goals in the last quarter. Really, really surprising. I don't know whether it's something to do with their load management. Something's up at the Swans at the moment, but I have faith that they will resurrect their season. Well, they'll get it back on track a little bit. So I think that, this was a little blip, I hope, on the radar. But yeah, fair play to St Kilda. I mean, St Kilda 24 points. I don't expect them to make finals, but they've given it they've beaten a premiership favourite at the time, which is a fair play, and beaten by 2 points. So I was 16 points off with that game. And then I said Brisbane by 28 against Adelaide, and they ended up winning by 11. So I was 17 points off there. If Brisbane hadn't conceded the last 2 goals, that would have been a couple of points off in that game as well. So then we move to round 18. Collingwood against Geelong. I'm actually going to go with the upset and go Collingwood, and the reason behind that is when you look at the lineups, I really like Collingwood's midfield with Pendlebury, De Goey, Dacos, and also Crisp. And I even like their ruck matchup of Darcy Cameron versus either De Koning or Blicavs. I don't care about the double ruck because Blicavs is just a horrific ruck in general. So I think that Darcy Cameron will win that matchup there. And yeah, I just like that a lot better than Geelong's current setup, and I just think that they'll win that game. The forward line for Geelong is packed. We'll give them that. And the forward line for Collingwood is Bobby Hill, Kruger, Schultz, Long, Lipinski, and Elliott. Long could also be used either on the wing or on ball, which I think pretty much cancels out Sean Manor, to be honest with you. So yeah, I'm really intrigued to see how this goes. But I'm going to predict Collingwood in an upset here, as per the everyone saying. And I'm going to predict Collingwood by 15 points there. So I think that could be interesting to see Collingwood by 15 points over the likes of over the likes of Geelong. Then you have Sydney against Melbourne. Tough to tip, North Melbourne. Tough to tip against the Swans, even though they've lost their last 2, because North Melbourne, they did win their last one, but they've won 2 games for the year. We did have to use an interchange infringement free kick last year to beat North Melbourne, but hopefully this year it isn't as bad. I'm going to predict the Swans by 28 points. I just think that their ins of Callum Mills will do really well. Yes, Heaney's out, but I think that Callum Mills really does help, as well as the omission of Will Phillips will help mitigate the loss of Heaney. And there is a chance that something weird goes on at on the day, because Wicks is named in both sides and Constanti wasn't named on the injury list, but he wasn't named in the VFL. So we'll see how that goes with that. Just give that a slight watch there. Even though I expect Wicks just to be played 2 quarters in the twos and then sub for the ones would be my guess there. Hawthorn against Fremantle at UTAS. Part of me wants to tip Hawthorn, but they did get their asses whooped, simply put, by Geelong. I just think that Fremantle, at the way that they're playing at the moment, is pretty good. Beat Richmond convincingly, beat the Swans, which was an upset at the time, but maybe they cracked the code against the Swans. Beat Gold Coast at Optus Stadium. They did lose to Western Bulldogs, but Western Bulldogs basically were playing for Bevo. And then they did beat Melbourne as well. So I think Fremantle are still one of the form teams in the comp, and I'm going to go Fremantle by 21 points. Then you have Western Bulldogs against Carlton. It would be so Western Bulldogs, totally Western Bulldogs to win this game. Like, hands down, this would be a Western Bulldogs type thing to win this game. They did lose to Port Adelaide pretty convincingly last week. They did beat North Melbourne iffy the week before, and then beat Fremantle, then lost to Brisbane and beat Collingwood. Let's look at the team lineup again here quickly, if it will bring it up. They don't do it in order anymore, I swear. But Mitch McGovern and Fantasia out for Marchbank and Pitnet. That could be interesting at the selection table tonight, whether Tom De Koning is a late out or something with that, or whether Pitnet is a late out. There's also rumour that Charlie Kerner could be a late out as well. So, in essence, this one's an interesting one. I do think that Carlton win this one, but I just going to say wouldn't be surprised if Carlton lose this one because it's Bevo. And I think I have about a 40% tip rate with Western Bulldogs games. Like, I am 7 or 8 out of 16 or whatever it is now. So I'm going to go Carlton by 21, but don't be surprised if they lose. Adelaide against St Kilda, Adelaide Oval. Adelaide are basically playing for Nick's life at this point. So St Kilda aren't really playing for Ross Lyon at the moment. I don't think he's too on the edge. But yeah, hard to tip. If I was have St Kilda, when was St Kilda? They lost to Port at Marvel. They lost to Brisbane Lions, which wasn't that bad of a loss. They lost to They beat Gold Coast and they beat West Coast Eagles. Part of me wants to tip St Kilda, but I think just Adelaide will win this one there by, I think, 12 points. Melbourne against Essendon. This one's another tough one to predict because Essendon, you have to tip Essendon just on the fact that they beat the likes of Collingwood last week. So I'm going to go Essendon by 23 points. Then you've got Gold Coast against Port Adelaide. A lot of people are tipping Port. I think Port are back in form. But then again, are Gold Coast just going to win at People's First? I think this could be the first loss for Gold Coast at People's First Stadium. So I'm going to go Port Adelaide by 18 points at People's First. That'll be a shock if they do. If Gold Coast go undefeated at home but don't win a game away from home would be the funniest thing. I think that Richmond are just so damaged. Dusty Martin managed again or something or whatever. I need to look at the lineups yet again because they did have some changes there. Seth Campbell managed, McAuliffe managed, omitted. They also had no Dusty, so he could have played his last game maybe. We don't know. But yeah, GWS 97% tipped. I'm going to go GWS by 31 points. And then you've got West Coast against Brisbane. I think Brisbane are going to absolutely maul them. So I'm going to go Brisbane by 46 points. Given don't West Coast have any injuries? Let me just check. McGovern out as well is absolutely huge for them. So yeah, I think that is just going to cause an injury. Yes, Starcevich and Payne are out, but I think that they can be easily deputised but the loss of McGovern is absolutely huge. He was going to play, I think, if it was Simpson's last game, but Simpson didn't want to have a sort of farewell game, a send-off game, because maybe there's something negative about it. I guess there are sort of, why are you playing for him now? Why are the guys playing for him now, but not when he was actually coaching, and not just because it's his last game. But anyway, that is the video there, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.